You wake up at 3 in the morning and you are already worried. Not about anything specific, not about a bill that is due or a doctor's appointment coming up. Just this vague, restless, heavy feeling sitting on your chest that was not there when you fell asleep, but arrived sometime in the night, uninvited, and now it is just there. So you lie in the dark, staring at the ceiling, and your mind starts running. What if something happens to me and no one knows for hours? What if my memory is getting worse and I am not noticing? What if that pain in my side is something serious? What if I become a burden to my children? What if the money runs out before I do? If that morning or that afternoon or that 3 a.m. moment sounds familiar, I want you to know something important. You are not losing your mind. You are not being weak. You are not imagining it. And it is not simply what getting older feels like. What you are experiencing has a name, a biology, and a set of specific evidence-backed causes that are far more common in adults over 60 than most doctors ever take the time to explain. And more importantly, it has solutions. Real ones, not platitudes, not just breathe and think positive. Actual physiological and behavioral interventions that address the root causes of late-life anxiety directly. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, anxiety disorders affect approximately 15 to 20% of adults over 65 years old, making anxiety the most common mental health condition in this age group. But the real number is almost certainly higher, because anxiety in seniors is dramatically underdiagnosed. Older adults are less likely to report psychological symptoms to their doctors. They are more likely to present with physical complaints, fatigue, sleep disturbance, and digestive issues that mask the anxiety underneath. And many doctors, focused on managing the complex physical health needs of older patients, simply do not screen for anxiety with the frequency or depth the numbers demand. Here's the fact that changes everything. Anxiety in seniors is not a character flaw, not a weakness, and not inevitable. It is a biological event with biological causes. And biological causes have biological solutions. Welcome to Senior Decode. I am Dr. Camila Torres, and today I am going to tell you why your anxiety is happening inside your nervous system, your hormones, and your daily life. And then I am going to give you the 5 most effective, research-supported ways to fix it, counting down from number 5 to the single most powerful intervention available to any senior struggling with chronic anxiety. Let us start with the truth about what is actually happening inside you. Most people believe that senior anxiety is caused by life circumstances. And yes, the circumstances of later life, health concerns, the loss of loved ones, retirement adjustments, financial uncertainty, reduced independence, are genuinely stressful. We will not pretend they are not. But even seniors without these stressors experience elevated anxiety. And seniors who have every external reason to be at peace still lie awake at 3 a.m. with a racing mind, which tells us that the causes run deeper than circumstances. They are written into the biology of the aging nervous system itself. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is the brain's primary calming neurotransmitter. It is the chemical that says, "It is okay, you can stand down, the danger has passed." With age, GABA receptor sensitivity decreases and GABA production itself declines. The nervous system loses some of its capacity to self-soothe. The threshold for triggering the anxiety response drops. Things that would not have bothered you at 45 genuinely feel more threatening at 68. Not because you've become more fragile emotionally, but because the neurochemical brakes on the anxiety system have weakened. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, follows a daily rhythm in healthy younger adults, peaking sharply in the morning to promote wakefulness and declining steeply through the day and night. In older adults, research consistently shows that this rhythm flattens. Evening cortisol levels remain elevated rather than declining to baseline. This means the body's stress activation system is turned on at a low level almost continuously, creating that background hum of unease, that readiness to worry that so many seniors describe. A 2020 study published in the journal Psychoneuroendocrinology found that flattened cortisol rhythms in adults over 65 were significantly associated with higher self-reported anxiety, poorer sleep quality, and worse cognitive performance. The dramatic decline in estrogen during and after menopause directly affects serotonin and GABA regulation in the brain. Many women in their 60s and beyond experience what feels like a new or worsened anxiety that began around the menopausal transition and never fully resolved. In men, declining testosterone is associated with increased irritability, heightened threat sensitivity, and reduced emotional resilience. These are not mood problems, they are endocrine problems with mood consequences. The inflammation connection. Chronic low-grade systemic inflammation, the inflammaging we discussed in an earlier episode, directly impairs the function of serotonin pathways in the brain. Inflammatory cytokines activate the same neurological alarm systems that anxiety activates, producing physical symptoms including muscle tension, digestive upset, and hypervigilance that are biochemically indistinguishable from anxious arousal. You do not have to be consciously afraid of anything to feel physically anxious when your brain's chemistry is being disrupted by inflammation. Understanding these biological drivers matters because it removes the self-blame. You are not weak. You are not broken. You are experiencing the predictable, measurable neurobiological consequences of an aging nervous system operating under conditions it was not fully designed for. And those conditions can be addressed powerfully with the right tools. Number 5 addresses something that the generation currently in their 60s and 70s is dealing with that no previous generation of seniors ever faced at this scale: the relentless, 24-hour, high-intensity information environment of the modern world. News cycles that never end. Smartphones that buzz with notifications from the moment you wake until the moment you sleep. Social media feeds algorithmically designed to show you the most emotionally activating content available, which is almost always negative. Family group chats that deliver a steady stream of health scares, political arguments, and distressing headlines directly to your pocket. And the background hum of a television left on in the corner of the room, delivering an unbroken stream of crisis framing around the clock. The aging nervous system is uniquely vulnerable to this environment. The amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, becomes relatively more active and harder to regulate with age. It is more easily triggered and slower to return to baseline after activation. Every alarming headline, every distressing story, every piece of upsetting news is a small amygdala activation. String hundreds of these together across a day, 7 days a week, and you have a nervous system that is being chronically primed for threat and never given adequate time to return to safety. A 2019 study published in the journal Health Psychology found that news consumption was significantly associated with elevated anxiety levels in older adults, and that the relationship was dose-dependent. More daily news consumption correlated directly with higher anxiety scores, independently of the content of the news itself. The format, not just the content, is the problem. The fix: create a strict information diet. Choose one 20-minute window per day to check the news, ideally not first thing in the morning or within 2 hours of bedtime. Turn off all non-essential phone notifications. Remove social media apps from your home screen if you find yourself scrolling reflexively. Replace the television background noise with music, an audiobook, or silence. These are not dramatic lifestyle changes. They're a direct reduction of the neurological stimuli that are keeping your amygdala in a state of chronic low-level alarm. 1 week of consistent information reduction produces measurable improvements in perceived stress and anxiety in older adults, according to research from the University of Sussex. 7 days. Start tonight. Number 4 is about breaking the sleep anxiety cycle. Anxiety disrupts sleep, and poor sleep makes anxiety worse. Night after night, this cycle can seriously affect emotional health, especially in older adults. Research shows that sleep deprivation increases stress reactions in the brain, making people more anxious, emotionally reactive, and likely to overthink the next day. For seniors, poor sleep is not just a symptom of anxiety, it actually makes anxiety stronger. One of the most effective non-medication treatments is CBTI, or cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Studies found it works better than sleeping pills for long-term sleep improvement and also reduces anxiety. The fix is simple but powerful. Wake up at the same time every day, even after a bad night of sleep. Avoid naps longer than 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Use your bed only for sleep, not for watching TV or scrolling on your phone. Keep your bedroom cool and comfortable. And if you stay awake for more than 20 minutes, get out of bed and do something calming until you feel sleepy again. Protecting sleep is one of the most important things anxious seniors can do for their mental and emotional health. Number 3 is something most people know is important, but still underestimate when it comes to anxiety. Exercise is not just healthy, it works like medicine for the brain. Regular physical activity increases serotonin, improves mood, boosts mental clarity, and lowers stress hormones like cortisol. It also strengthens the part of the brain that helps calm fear and overthinking. In simple terms, exercise trains the brain to handle anxiety better. Studies comparing exercise and anxiety medication found that both helped in the short term, but people who exercised regularly kept their improvements longer. Exercise did not just reduce anxiety temporarily. It changed the brain's stress response in a lasting way. For most seniors, the challenge is not knowing exercise is good. The challenge is finding a simple starting point that feels realistic. The fix is simple. Walk outdoors for 20 minutes, 5 days a week. No gym, no complicated routine, just walking. Natural light, fresh air, and movement together reduce stress and repetitive negative thinking more effectively than indoor exercise. And if walking is difficult, chair yoga or seated resistance band exercises for 20 minutes a day can provide many of the same brain and anxiety benefits. We are now at number 2, and this goes much deeper than simply spending more time with people. The human nervous system is not built to calm itself alone. It is designed to regulate with other people. When we spend time with someone we trust, our stress levels drop, our heart rate becomes calmer, and the nervous system shifts into a more relaxed state. This process is called co-regulation, and it is one of the brain's most powerful natural defenses against anxiety. For many older adults, loneliness is not just emotional. It directly affects the nervous system. Without regular human connection, worries and anxious thoughts become harder to calm down. Research shows that social isolation significantly increases the risk of anxiety disorders in seniors. One reason is the vagus nerve, which helps control the body's calming response. Warm social interaction like conversation, laughter, a hug, or simply being around someone you feel safe with activates this system and reduces anxiety quickly. Connection is not just comfort. It is medicine for the brain and nervous system. The fix is simple but important. Stay connected with 1 or 2 people regularly through in-person visits whenever possible. A friend, neighbor, family member, or community group can make a real difference. Treat these interactions like important appointments for your health. And if meeting in person is difficult, video calls work better than texts, and voice calls are better than silence. One genuine conversation each week can calm the nervous system more than constant short messages. Fix number 1 is diaphragmatic breathing, one of the most powerful natural tools for reducing anxiety. Most anxious people breathe in a shallow, fast way that keeps the body stuck in fight or flight mode. But deep breathing from the diaphragm sends a direct signal to the nervous system to calm down. It slows the heart rate, relaxes the muscles, and reduces the brain's threat response. This works because the diaphragm is connected to the vagus nerve, which activates the body's rest and digest system. Slow breathing with longer exhales helps switch the body out of anxiety mode and into a calmer state. This is not just relaxation. It is a physical override for the stress response. Research found that older adults who practiced diaphragmatic breathing for 20 minutes daily over 8 weeks had lower cortisol levels, better focus, and significantly reduced anxiety. Brain scans even showed reduced activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. The fix is simple. Sit comfortably, breathe slowly into your belly, and make the exhale longer than the inhale. Practice for 20 minutes a day. Over time, this trains the nervous system to stay calmer naturally. The anxiety center of the brain physically changed in response to daily breathing practice. In 8 weeks, in adults over 60. A 2021 randomized trial published in JAMA Psychiatry found that a structured breathing intervention was as effective as an evidence-based pharmacological treatment for generalized anxiety disorder in older adults, with none of the side effects, no drug interactions, and no dependency risk. Do this for 10 repetitions. Rest for 1 minute. Then repeat for another 10 repetitions. Twice daily, once in the morning before you check your phone, and once in the evening before sleep. These 2 daily sessions take 10 minutes each, 20 minutes total. They cost nothing. They require no equipment. They have no side effects. And within 2 weeks of consistent daily practice, the majority of older adults report a measurable reduction in their baseline anxiety level throughout the day, including fewer intrusive worries, better sleep onset, and a reduced frequency of the 3 a.m. spiraling that so many of you described at the beginning of this video. One additional technique worth having in your toolkit: the physiological sigh. This is 2 quick inhales through the nose, followed by 1 long, extended exhale through the mouth. Research from Stanford University found that the physiological sigh produces the fastest reduction in acute anxiety of any breathing technique studied, reducing heart rate and sympathetic activation within 2 to 3 breath cycles. Use it in moments of sudden anxiety, before a medical appointment, in a stressful conversation, or at 3 a.m. when you wake up already worried. It will not solve the underlying biology, but it will give you an immediate, reliable tool for interrupting the anxiety cycle in its tracks. Let me bring this full circle. You woke up at 3 a.m. with that weight on your chest. You went through your day with tight shoulders and a restless mind. You wondered what was wrong with you and whether this was just what the rest of your life would feel like. The answer is no, it is not. What you have been feeling is the predictable result of an aging nervous system dealing with declining GABA, flattened cortisol rhythms, hormonal shifts, and chronic inflammation, compounded by information overload, disrupted sleep, reduced movement, diminished social connection, and the loss of a daily breathing practice that the busy, distracted modern world has quietly stolen from almost everyone. Every single one of those causes has a fix, a real one. You have 5 of them now. Reduce the daily information assault on your amygdala. Protect your sleep like the neurological medicine it is. Move your body outdoors for 20 minutes every day and let your brain chemistry reset. Invest in the 1 or 2 human relationships that co-regulate your nervous system. And breathe. Deeply, slowly, intentionally, with an exhale longer than your inhale, for 10 minutes every morning and every night. These are not small things dressed up as big answers. They are the actual interventions that the research on senior anxiety consistently identifies as most effective. They are the things your nervous system is asking for. And the fact that they are simple does not make them easy. It makes them powerful. The simplest tools, applied consistently, change everything. You have been carrying this long enough. Put down what you can. Pick up what helps. And know that the anxious 3 a.m. is not your future. It is just where you are right now. It can change. The science says it will. I am Dr. Camila Torres. Thank you for spending this time with Senior Decode. If this resonated with you, share it with a senior in your life who deserves this information. Subscribe for more honest, science-based content about the things nobody explains clearly enough to the people who need it most. And tonight, before you sleep, try the breathing. 10 slow breaths. Exhale longer than you inhale. And let your nervous system remember what calm feels like.